there's not really much ways you can attack it that's different than other people have. So I guess the truest way for me to do it is to just tell you my story and I guess the themes that I've learned about heroism through that. In August 2015, me and my two friends were backpacking through Europe, and we were on a train, just as, common in Europe, how you get from country to country, and we were actually going from Amsterdam to Paris. We were there for about 3 weeks. I guess it's important to note that my two friends are off-duty U.S. servicemen. So we are on vacation in Europe, backpacking, and basically we're on a train from Amsterdam to Paris. And on board our train, we hear a gunshot, and we're like, that's kind of weird because we're on a train in Europe. There shouldn't be a gunshot on here. So we kind of dispel that noise thinking, as usually you would, just thinking that it can't be what we think it is. To our surprise, from that noise, we see an employee sprint down the aisleway in between us. And we're like, okay, this is serious. What's he sprinting away from? And we turn around to see initially a shirtless man walk through the sliding doors of the train, and he's holding an AK-47, and a backpack is strapped to the front of him. Imagine the fear that you feel seeing that in a different country. Not only do you kind of think that these things would happen, I mean, Americans in Europe, you kind of hear about it on the news. These things could happen. It's in the back of your mind. But you never thought it would happen to you. So imagine seeing this, realizing what's happening, and immediately knowing you're in the middle of a terrorist attack. A lot of people can find themselves in that position these days just because of the world we live in. It's a crazy world. We all know. We turn on the news every other day, and there seems to be something new of that nature. So immediately, within 2 seconds of seeing the gunman, I look over at my friends. We don't have time to really talk about it or huddle up. Luckily, like I said, I was with two of my closest friends that I've actually grown up with, so this helps a lot. But my first friend got up, rushed him. Second friend got up, rushed him. So 1, 2, and I guess I'm 3. All 3 of us are in. So there wasn't really much choice, wasn't really much decision factor, wasn't really much, this is our time to be heroic, let's save ourselves and everybody else. But I think there's an important theme in what happened to us that day, what happened to me that day, and what has happened since. There's misconceptions about heroism. I think the two most common I found, because most people think you beat up a terrorist, you stop a terrorist attack, you're an expert on heroism. I mean, I'm only 26 years old, so I don't consider myself an expert on too many things, but heroism is definitely not one. But I found in my research and just in my life in general going through something like this, that there's two common misconceptions. That heroism is a trait that is specific to the individual. A lot of people think after you do something heroic that, oh, there must be something within you that is so special that sets you apart from the common person. Especially when you do something like being involved in a terrorist attack, a lot of people think, oh, you boys, you have something that just most people don't. And I think that's incorrect, because I don't consider myself to have a trait that other people don't. I think the most common thing is that the ordinary person is capable of the extraordinary. I think it comes down to choices. I don't think the actions that people take necessarily are the heroic thing. I think the heroics come in when you choose to act. A lot of people think, another misconception is a lot of people think that heroics you need to be capable of the superhuman. Oh, if I'm going to act, like the young lady said before me, if I'm going to act in the burning car, I need to go have some kind of superhuman ability to be able to intervene. And that's incorrect, because most of the time, heroism just requires you to do what you're capable of in the moment. It doesn't ask you to step outside of your capabilities or what you can do. It just asks that you can do. So I think majority of the time, whether it's peer-to-peer bullying, whether it's overcoming adversity in your job, whether it's overcoming a terrorist on a train, it doesn't matter what the gravity of it is. It's just recognizing the moment to actually do something. And I think that's where the heroism lies in people's actions, is the choice to do something. And that's what separates most people. Oftentimes since then, my story has it happened in 2015. Since then, I've had the chance to author a book. A feature film has came out this year, actually, directed by Clint Eastwood. And you would think that would be kind of enough to the story. And then Clint Eastwood asked us to play ourselves in real life in the film, which was very odd, having had that experience before. So you would think facing down a terrorist, oh, that's the scariest thing you need to do in your life. But then you see Clint Eastwood glaring at you behind the camera, and it gets a little scarier. So just in talking with him, it's funny because he taught me something important. He portrays heroes on film, classically, as we all know, through years and years. And we've sat down in conversations, and he's just tried to get into our heads onto why we got up, why we acted that day, what was it about it, what is it different about us than, say, the common 25, 26-year-old. And in talking with him, it's funny that I realized that's when I first realized that we just decided to do something, and it wasn't anything that the three of us were carrying around or that we were born with, some superhuman ability. We just decided to do something. And that's what separated us from the other passengers on the train, and that's what separated, life and death in that situation. And oftentimes with heroics, the term is often labeled on things that have to do with life and death. But I think the best part about knowing that we're all capable of the extraordinary and all capable of heroics is that you can apply that to any facet of your life and affect your surroundings in your community, in your neighborhood, in the people around you on any level, every end of the spectrum. It doesn't have to be as grave danger, and it can also be something very small. Heroics, I believe, are about a choice. And my message is that you are all capable, because it's not just me. It's not just the stories of the people that you've heard up here. I think the major message is that we are all capable. And once people start realizing that they're capable, then they can start making change in their communities and around them. And when they're faced with the extraordinary, they'll know at that time that they are capable of the extraordinary. And once you know that you're capable, what can't you do after that? If you know that if you jump off this stage, you'll survive that, you'll jump off it 1,000,000 times because you'll survive it. So if you know you're capable of extraordinary, you're capable of heroics, and it doesn't take a cape, it doesn't take superhuman ability to do so, then that's when you'll realize that, hey, I can be the change in my community. I can affect things. I can be a hero, and it doesn't have to be on a pedestal. It can be on a small scale, middle scale, whatever it is in my community that it can be. So I think the main message from my story is that you are capable, and that ordinary people in the face of extraordinary can do the extraordinary. Thank you.
The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.